Well, for more, we can speak to Paul Smith, head of the French department at the University of Nottingham. Paul, thank you for joining the program and speaking to us. Just want to ask you, first of all, usually after these cabinet meetings, we get a statement afterward. That was not the case this Friday. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that there's been a lot of criticism of this new team, and I think the probably by not saying anything, they kind of want to just get on with work, and they're waiting for the second volley. I mean, you talk about the limited number of ministers in this team, but we're going to be waiting for the announcement of junior ministers next week or the week after. So this could actually be. It could be a smaller, fewer than 40 members of the government, but it could probably still add up to somewhere nearer to 30 once we add in all the junior ministers. I think that in many ways it tells us that this is a government that's been appointed, a team that's been appointed to carry out in a sense, the statement was Macron's statement on the 31st of December, that plan, the determination, rearm France, introduce a sense of civic pride and civic duty, that kind of discourse. So in a sense, that's serving as the program.
Yeah, one of the things we did see come out was that Macron wants, forgive me for my French, Paul, révolutionnaire, pas des gestionnaires. I would translate sort of like he wants trailblazers and not technocrats. Is that what he has in the cabinet?
No, I wouldn't have said so, actually. I mean, I think that one of the things that's really striking me is not so much the people who've stayed, but the bundling up of ministries. For example, under Amélie Oudéa-Castéra, you've got that bundling up of education with youth and the Olympic Games, and you mentioned Catherine Vautrin as well, that bundling up of health with welfare and labour. And so those are kind of almost like two super ministries. Now, in order for those to work, you're actually going to be relying on technocrats to be carrying out you can talk about delivering efficiencies. Well, okay, but these are really important. And I know that in education, the teachers' unions are kind of really concerned that they haven't got a minister dedicated to them. And there's a lot of talk as well about, health is in a really difficult position in France at the moment, and there's a lot of concern there that there isn't actually a specific health minister. So I think that what happens in that situation is actually that this is where the technocrats take over rather than. I mean, you're right, révolutionnaire plutôt que gestionnaire, revolutionary rather than just managing things. But I think that's a big promise.
And how much of what we saw in terms of the composition of this cabinet would you link back to Emmanuel Macron's controversial immigration bill?
To some extent, yes. I mean, there's the problems of getting out through. I mean, that was badly managed in the first place, and it's interesting that we've got these ministers who come from backgrounds with Sarkozy. Sarkozy advised Macron to do it in two parts, the immigration bill, to look at a bill that talked about regularizing the situation of illegal migrants, and then to think about another more kind of austere bill to deal with other aspects of immigration. Macron didn't listen to that. They went for one piece of legislation. I think that Darmanin is lucky to still be there because he didn't handle the immigration bill terribly well, but one could argue that that wasn't his fault. But I think that where Attal scores and what's also going on with bringing in some of these Sarkozystes is that it's also kind of, I think it's what Macron imagines would be a cabinet to stand up to the Rassemblement National, the far right. And the European elections, this is a cabinet that's really going to try to focus on the European elections, because in France, those aren't really about Europe. They're much more to do with the government's performance. And so we've got this 5-month gap now where that's really going to be the focus.
Yeah, and right after that, of course, the Olympic Games. I'm curious, we talk about the cabinet tilting to the right. Is this abandoning its centrist base, or has the centrist part of French voters also become more conservative and it's playing catch up?
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. I think that there's been a general shift. And I was thinking about this the other day when somebody said that Attal kind of comes from the left. I don't even know what that means really anymore in terms of Macron's politics. Yes, okay, originally he was more towards the left than some of the other members, but this is a drift that we've observed since the first Macron presidency, this kind of rightwards shift. And that's where the voters are. And this, of course, is why Ciotti is so upset about the appointment of Rachida Dati, is that once again we have Macron grabbing the air, the oxygen, if you like, of Les Républicains and where they should, or they feel they should be.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the people on the left side of a centrist Renaissance party also feel abandoned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a great deal of originally, already over the immigration bill, there was a great deal of upset there, and there will be a lot of people
Sure.
on the left of Renaissance who are kind of biting their lip and thinking, what's next?
All right, Paul. Thank you very much for your time. Paul Smith speaking to us from the University of Nottingham.